on
It's
me.
okay. That's all right. We didn't even hit the intro music yet.
Whatever. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
Skibidi bow.
How are you all feeling? We are excited to be here with you all today. It's a great Monday, and it's a great Monday to pod. It's a weird time because there's a big announcement that we'll talk about later for tomorrow, based on where we record and all that jazz. It's Spider-Man adjacent. So that's kind of where we're at on our end.
I was
But
trying to act surprised, like I didn't know what the fuck we
like,
talking
what?
about.
There's an announcement?
There's an announcement.
But we're excited to be with y'all. You will notice that we are down a member of the trio. The Three Musketeers is down one, and that is because Brian is preparing for his arrival of his new baby. So we are Baby Watch 2021. Still no baby.
Still no baby. Still no baby, but close. I feel it in my bones.
We're excited. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's coming. I can hear it coming. It's like a train. But we're excited for Brian. We're glad he's able to take some time to be with his family. But Marcus,
for the sake of Maggie, I hope it's not coming like a train. I hope it's a very smooth process for everyone involved.
The train metaphor probably could have. I should have rethought that.
It's all right. We're here now. It's all right. Okay.
But Marcus,
yes,
you and I are here. How are you feeling today, sir?
It's time to podcast. We try not to go on a tangent.
Well, I mean, I did ask you how you were doing, so please, if you have a tangent to go on, I'd love to hear it.
It's fine. You know what I did? I realized, man, when low moments are low, they are low as fuck. But when your high moments come, Jesus Christ, it's like, fuck, I feel like I'm on cloud nine for absolutely no reason at all. So, but it's just like,
there are several reasons for all of us to be on cloud nine.
That's true.
And one of them took place with 1 second to go in the fourth quarter on a Saturday afternoon. Like,
yo, I was trying not to go on a tangent. Doug said no more tangents. Doug said no. Well, he didn't say no more tangents. Doug said we want to start getting into the meat and potatoes of the podcast. But let me tell y'all something. All podcast listeners, if you don't know, me and Doug are from, we live in South Dakota. Vermilion, South Dakota. Home of the Coyotes. Don't say Coyote, or I'm gonna whoop your ass. Right? We played our rival school, South Dakota State University. Right?
Yep.
There was 7 seconds left on the clock in the fourth quarter. They were up. This looks like it was about to be the end. For some reason, they throw the ball out of bounds.
Yes.
On a play that they said they've always timed correctly.
Right.
The officials called the shit back and was like, please put 1 second on the clock. They did this on fourth down.
Yes.
They said, please put 1 second back on the clock. We are at the 35-yard line, 35-yard line, maybe 40, maybe a little bit closer than that. I have to look at the video again. So our quarterback, it's if you know anything about football, you go to your last minute play. Your defense is going to go to an all block defense, all pass block
the ball
defense.
Down defense.
You knock it, you swat it down, okay? And then your offense goes for a Hail Mary because it's not the only play, but it is the go-to play for last minute moments like this. It puts everybody strikes towards the end zone.
That's true.
So they do what they're supposed to do, and he tosses it, and with 1 second left on the clock on a Hail Mary play, our quarterback tosses that bitch. Shout out to Carson Camp. I bought him and his mama drink last night at the bars. Throw the fucking ball. And Jeremiah Webb, shout out to Jeremiah Webb. South Dakota State jumps for it, but a couple of them swat it, but somebody tips it up by accident and tips it backwards.
Yep.
And Jeremiah Webb is right there and takes it and gets a touchdown with 1 second left, falling right into the end zone. And all you heard in the stadium was,
yeah. And then pandemonium broke loose.
Wild.
The other, if you have it, it ended up the #1 play on SportsCenter from the weekend.
We were everywhere.
Yeah,
We were
everywhere.
everywhere.
And so if you haven't seen it, you can find it. The other
Ooh,
thing is if you can find the radio announcer's response. So Brittany and I were running errands and we listened to this at the
oh,
end, like because I had seen where it was going, and
yeah, yep,
I'm a product of my upbringing.
yeah,
My
yeah.
dad and I watch sports the same way.
That's
Our
game.
team, our team starts losing. Fuck this shit. I'm out. I turn it off. And so, so anyway,
That's
so we
fair.
say that, and I turn it. We run to the store, and I listen to it on the radio, and I mean, I had to turn the volume down on my speakers. They were screaming
Yo,
so loud.
yo.
It was pretty impressive. So check that out
Shout out
if you
to
can.
Jay Elson from Midco Sports and
Mhm.
John Thayer from USD, who is the
Yep.
color commentator for us. Seriously, like it was so wild. I didn't find out until a day. Oh no, I didn't find out until that night when we went out who actually caught the
You
ball.
mean you couldn't tell? I mean, they didn't even know how to credit it when it was
They
on the radio. They didn't know how to
no,
credit
they
it.
because I think everybody got it wrong because when Jeremiah caught it, he got excited, spiked it. But then Caleb Vander Esch like took it and ran
Grab the
because
ball
he
because he
like
didn't.
grabbed the
Yeah.
ball because he was like, oh my God, like we did it, like that's game. And
Yeah.
the cameras naturally just followed the person who
Had the
has the
ball.
football in their hand. It happens all the time with play action passes and all that other kind
Oh
of
yeah.
shit like that. So
Yeah.
wild as fuck. Shout out to the
Yeah.
Coyotes, man. Shout out to the. It's fun. It's so much fun because this is my actual college team.
Yeah.
Like my real. I don't have any other team. I don't watch Oregon.
Yep.
I don't watch like this is my college team, and these are players that I know. So
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. I get to party with these guys and be
Yeah.
like, this was wild. This was
Yeah.
wild. Thank you
That's
for
awesome.
allowing me to go on that tangent. How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. It's a good day. Things are going well.
That's good.
It's always great when your team wins. It's nice to see these guys succeed. Some of them I know
Yeah,
as well.
Doug
So
does know. Doug. For those of you that don't know, Doug was an advisor for the Cultural Wellness Coalition, and just naturally, when he used to work at the Muck at the university,
just kind of around and about.
he
Yeah.
was always around these guys. So
Yeah.
that's
But
big.
yeah, so I'm happy to see them succeed. It's a good day just in general.
It's good.
Things are going well. So all in all, pretty pleased with where stuff is at.
Pretty good.
But the show must go on, Marcus.
It
And
must.
although we are down a member of our crew,
We
we
are.
are still going to play Catch That Quotable.
Goddamn right.
And since it is Black History Year,
It is.
you can decide whether you would like me to go first or you to go first. It is entirely up to you, sir.
Honestly, Doug, I'll go first.
Okay, sounds
just
good to
'cause
me.
I feel like I always throw it off on other people first, but
Okay.
I'm gonna go first. Sometimes God just fucks up your order, and you gotta chow down on that shitty shame sandwich.
Oh man. Okay.
Once again.
Okay.
Don't you love
Okay.
it here?
I do
Sometimes
love
God
it here.
just fucks up your order, and you gotta chow down on that shitty shame sandwich.
Oh man. The phrase "that shitty shame sandwich,"
Yeah,
that's what stands out to me for that
yeah,
quote.
yeah.
That
I
shitty
wonder
shame
if
sandwich.
I wonder if I can pull it back up while both of us are here.
I
Hold on.
think we can. It's
All
just
right.
that sometimes God just fucks up your order and you
Yeah.
gotta chow down. This
Yeah.
so that phrase, "that shitty shame sandwich," makes me feel like this is like a dating movie.
Okay.
Like, because usually when we talk about shame, at least in a movie context, we always talk about shame in the sense of like the dating world, right? Like someone's giving advice to another person. But which particular dating movie, I'm not quite sure. If it's
I
trending
do
the
like
way
the
that
process. I do like your
if it's
thought
trending
process.
the way that I think it is,
Okay.
it's more than likely it's not about like it's got to be about like dancing or
Mm,
some type of social thing. So people
okay.
are like, let your shame fly, chow down on that sandwich, just eat it and go with it.
Okay.
But I want that hint because that's
That's
where I kind of get stuck.
interesting.
So what do you got for me hint wise?
I'm gonna say barbecue.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like that may not be a fair hint, but I'll give you
Barbecue.
why I said barbecue once this is over.
Okay.
I must admit, I do like your thought process. I like your thought process. And I see where you're going.
Okay. Marcus, I think I
Yes.
have my quote. I think I have my
Okay.
guess.
What is it?
Is this the movie Barbershop with Ice Cube?
It is not the movie Barbershop with
Does
Ice
it
Cube.
that ends with a barbecue, doesn't it? Or does it start with one?
I think every black movie that they ever show on BT probably ends in a barbecue. I don't think this one actually does not end in a barbecue. I don't think.
Okay.
Actually, it might. There's a barbecue scene in there. A lot of black movies end in a barbecue. That's the way that we come together. That's how you know
Okay.
this shit is
Okay.
all good.
Okay.
So,
Fair.
yes, but no, this is not.
Yes,
This
but
is not
not
barbershop.
one worth remembering.
No,
Okay.
no, no, no. The quote: "Sometimes God just fucks up your order, and you got to chow down on that shitty shame sandwich." Is pain and gain, and I did that in honor of Brian Roush.
Oh, Brian's
Yeah.
not even here to give the answer. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I said barbecue
Oh,
because I think there's a scene in there where
I
they
think
cook that guy? They cut him up and then they grill him or light him on
I
fire?
cannot tell you the plot of
Can't
that
remember.
movie
I can't.
at
I've only
all.
seen it literally once,
All I
one time.
know, all I know is there are several scenes where these dudes are just lifting weight
Yep,
and talking about stuff. And
yep,
that's about all I can remember. And I
yeah,
remember Dwayne the Rock Johnson is wearing what looks like MC Hammer style parachute pants
yeah,
and a cut off like a tank top, and
yep.
that's like all I
Yep.
can
This
remember.
was based off a true story, I do believe. Like,
Yes, it was. It
yeah,
was
and
some
it was
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It
And
was
it takes
that was a
place in
weird
Florida.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
shout out to
Well, awesome.
that
Well,
wild
shout out
ass
to
place.
Brian. We tried to give it.
We
We tried
tried.
to pay homage even though you weren't here.
We tried our
Um,
damnedest.
that's right. All right, you ready for me?
I'm ready.
Okay. Vincent van Gogh. Everyone said to him, "You can't be a great painter. You only have one ear." And you know what he said? "I can't hear you."
Uh,
Vincent van Gogh. Everyone said to him, "You can't be a great painter. You only have one ear." And you know what he said? "I can't hear you."
This is interesting because I
Mhm.
feel like I know what this movie is.
Okay.
I feel like I know the cadence of the quote.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what it is. And you know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of a person, but I kind of want to wait till after the quote.
Okay.
This is a comedy, and this is
Okay.
somebody trying to give a pep talk, and obviously it's like a
Yeah.
half-ass backwards pep talk because it ends with a joke
Mhm.
about Van Gogh being deaf and he getting his ear cut off.
Yep.
Um. Okay.
Okay.
What's the hint?
Your hint is
Hold on. Do you want to hear my person before or after the hint that I'm
I want to
thinking
hear
of?
your person before.
Okay.
It's not going to change my hint, but I want to
Okay.
hear it before.
The person that I'm thinking of that I feel like I know the cadence is Danny McBride. I think that's his name.
Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that his name?
from like Anchorman and from
Yeah.
usually with like in a Will Ferrell. He was in
You
Eastbound and
typically
Down.
he's in a yeah. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, that's interesting. Your
Okay.
hint is mice.
Oh fuck. No. Mice?
Mice.
This is not what I thought it was then. Damn it. Oh my god.
Isn't that the
Okay.
worst?
What's the quote again? Can I get the quote one more time?
Yeah, let's bring that quote up. We'll read it one more time. Vincent van Gogh. Everyone said to him, "You can't be a great painter. You only have one ear." And you know what he said? "I can't hear you."
Now I'm thinking this is an animated movie. And it could be like a Pixar
It could
kind
be.
of joke, like in that one of those like adult joke movies. Okay, here's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I was thinking Tropic Thunder.
Okay.
I was definitely thinking Tropic Thunder, and I'm gonna stick with that because I
Okay.
feel like that's not it, but it now. I feel like
Yeah.
it's an animated movie.
Okay. It is not Tropic Thunder. I appreciate
Okay,
your logic and I
okay,
appreciate you sounding that out.
yeah.
This is Dinner for Schmucks with Paul Rudd and Steve Carell. It is a movie where it's basically a Paul Rudd works for a company. He really wants to get a promotion. His boss invites him to this dinner that they have where everybody has to bring the most outrageous idiot. Well, Steve Carell plays the idiot, and essentially they come together and they actually form like a friendship and a bond. So when they get to the dinner, he feels bad. That's
Huh.
like the other funny things happen in this. Zach Galifianakis is in this. Yeah,
So I feel like I was in the right
you were in the right.
comedic range
You were in
area.
the right cul-de-sac. Yeah,
Yeah,
you absolutely were.
yeah, just
Yeah.
like two sacks down.
Yeah, just yeah.
Yeah.
You were at the wrong house, but you were in the right neighborhood
Yeah,
for sure.
and you know my black ass that gets me shot.
It's true. You got to be careful when
do
you go
gotta be
around
careful.
there.
Yeah.
Especially in South Dakota,
Especially in South Dakota.
because
Because
it work. Apparently, Fastos can make a home here, but
yeah,
only if it's in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, only if it's yeah. This guy gets it.
I do get it.
This guy gets it.
Marcus, it is a news episode.
It
and
is.
a lot of things have happened over the
Yeah.
course. I really like that graphic.
Oh,
A
thank
lot
you.
of things have happened over the course of this past few weeks
Yeah.
that we just have not really touched or talked about.
Right. And I feel like here's what I feel like. We usually are pretty good at going back and forth, but I feel like one topic is definitely going to reign supreme.
There is one topic that is gonna reign
Yeah.
supreme,
Yeah.
potentially 2 topics. So I
Yeah.
just wanna get it out there.
Let's go.
Let's talk about Disney Plus Day,
Yeah.
shall
Let's
we?
get it.
Let's dive into the announcement. So for those who maybe are listening, but maybe didn't stick around and follow them on Twitter apparently, which is how they how they fucking announced everything.
Yes.
Um, Disney Plus Day was November 12th. They made a bunch of announcements on future content. They released new content to their platform. So you can stream Shang-Chi and Jungle Cruise. They also
Yeah.
added some additional shows and some things like that. But this was kind of interesting because I want to start with the Star Wars news in honor of
Okay.
Brian.
Okay. Yeah.
Star
Also,
Wars,
Brian's not dead. So
Brian's
for
not
anybody
dead.
listening,
Yeah, not
in
dead.
honor, when we say that in honor of Brian, Brian is not dead. He's
Yeah,
in
in
fact
honor of
giving life.
Brian, but not dead.
Yes.
Still with us. But in honor of Brian, rest in peace. Star Wars was oddly absent from this smorgasbord dinner table that they had going, and the big letdown, I think, for most people was Kenobi. Just oddly, people felt sort of bamboozled by the Kenobi trailer and what they
Well,
got versus what
yeah.
they felt they were promised. So
Uh-huh.
let's start there. I think that's
Uh-huh.
a great place for us to start.
Well, Disney thinks they're slick as fuck. That's the problem. And
Mhm.
and when you look at the Kenobi trailer, or what they're
Yep.
calling the trailer, which is really just like concept art, and it's
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor talking. When you look at the title of the trailer on YouTube, they gave enough fluff in the content
Yeah.
that the part where it says concept art teaser is at the end, and all
Yeah.
it really says at the beginning is Obi-Wan or a Kenobi series teaser.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they try to get away with it. They just try to be on some slick shit, which is like, I don't know. I feel like Disney kind of feeling themselves, but maybe that's a discussion for the end of this segment.
Well, I don't think that I think they just didn't think it feels like they didn't think anybody would notice.
No, Doug. No, we're not doing this today. I came
No.
to pod, goddammit.
Well, no, and I say that from the like, how the fuck did you not think anybody was going to notice?
Oh,
Like,
okay,
it's kind of one of
okay.
those moments of like, did you really not think that people were amped about it?
Yeah.
And that's just what I kind of find staggered by, at least this in particular, is, come on. I know y'all have a TikTok. I know y'all have a Twitter. I know y'all have an Instagram. How many people over the course of the past 6 weeks leading up to November 12th felt like they were going to get some type of promise or some type of comment, and they were going to get some type of trailer? You knew that they felt this way about it. So when did you make the decision to substitute with it being an exclusive first look versus an actual trailer? Because this feels like bait and switch. Like you were like, it's like it's like when you're asking for a project from a friend at work, like, hey, you're gonna get that thing, like, I'd really like to start working on it. And Kenobi people are like, yeah, we'll get it to you, worry, I want to make sure it looks good. And then the day they realized it, they were like, oh fuck, we're not gonna get it. Just give them this. We'll just turn it in and hopefully the boss won't notice.
Yeah. And Disney has no choice but to put out the shit.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. They know Kenobi is their most probably wanted Star Wars project at the moment. I will say that.
I would say so. I mean, I
would say
think
that.
with what is in the most immediate, if I had to vote, like Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian season 3, or Kenobi, I mean, based on, and I will say this, that exclusive first look was nice. I mean, the concept art was cool. It got me excited because of some things that I noticed, but I was hyped about it before and still am now. I'm just not as, I mean, it's just, I'm a little bit more disappointed and irked with Disney than I am anything else.
Yeah. Disney is, and Brian called it Disney. The way that they did this whole Disney Plus release thing,
such a nightmare.
It's like they just wanted to do it for the title so that you could see what's coming next.
Yeah.
But I think if they keep going down this route, they put out a new Spider-Man poster today. And I saw the first Spider-Man poster that they put out.
Yeah.
And all of this is looking like something I could have made on Canva.
I promise you. That poster looks, someone compared it to Xbox box art. Like that, it looks like video game box art that I saw online. I can't remember who it was,
yes,
but it absolutely does. It looks like video game box art. Like it's just, this all feels like they're down a man in their marketing department. Like, and that's
Or they
weird to
just feel like
them.
that they don't have to market like they used to. Like maybe I'm putting myself on this, and maybe I'm putting Disney in a lane that they're not really like the bad people. But when you set a high expectation, you have to
Mhm.
follow through every single time. I'm sorry, like that's
Right.
the expectation that you set. And Disney Plus, I think Disney Plus is kind of losing momentum. I will say that. I think in my
Yeah.
mind, HBO Max is kind of in the lead right now. And then it's Netflix, and then
Yeah.
it's Disney Plus. That's how
And
I
what's
put everything.
And what I think is crazy about it is I think it changes week to week too. I think it
That's true.
depends
That's
on
true.
announcement, and I think it
Yeah.
depends on what's out, because something I was going to talk about later is the fact that Red Notice,
Mm,
that movie with Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Gal Gadot, they said it had the biggest streaming release on Netflix in Netflix's history.
yeah. Yeah,
And
that's what
part
I
of me
saw.
part of me sitting here like, okay, one, are you reporting Sky TV numbers again?
Please.
But again, I feel like it changes week to week, because I mean, Shang-Chi getting onto Disney Plus should have been a big deal.
Should have been
Like,
a
it
bigger deal
should
than
have
what it
been a
was.
huge deal, but it just
Mhm,
didn't feel that way. So I agree with you, Marcus. I think a lot of this is maybe they don't feel like they have to pitch us to it as much.
mhm,
Or maybe they've realized that they're kind of letting the hype machine do their work for them,
mm.
but that just feels really lazy, and I hate
That's
it.
it's lazy, and it can be dangerous because they know.
Mhm.
And I think even though Kevin Feige does not run all of Disney,
No,
although it feels like it at some
it
point,
does for sure.
I do think that Kevin, because of this Spider-Man Far From Home shit,
Mhm.
he definitely knows what it feels like to let the rumors and to let other people's expectations and that hype train get away
Yeah,
from you.
yeah,
Because if this Spider-Man movie isn't what everybody wants it to be,
right,
all hell is gonna break loose.
right. Yeah, I completely
Yeah.
agree, and I think
So
even the way that Eternals was marketed, like,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
compare, I mean, we reviewed it last week, the way that that movie was sold to the general public versus what we actually saw in theaters felt very different. Like,
yeah,
it felt
it
like they
did.
didn't it just the tone didn't add up. So,
So did Black Widow. So
Black
did
Widow was just like,
here, I'll be honest with you, so did the last 3 movies. Shang-Chi
mhm.
was a good movie, but the way that it was marketed, some it didn't really necessarily.
I didn't I was more excited to see that movie after I had watched it than
Yes.
before I had watched it.
That's a great, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a great way to put it. That's
yeah.
exactly it.
I was
I
more
was not
excited.
excited to watch that
No.
before until after I watched it.
Yeah, because again, and I
That's
think this
deep.
goes back to a question that I think is kind of interesting, is like we kind of touched on it last week. Like, how do we evaluate these things?
Yeah.
Like, how do we take this conversation that we're having, and do we have to put them each in a vacuum,
Mm,
where we evaluate them individually, or do we have to see them as connected things so each one is a product of the whole?
yeah.
Well, it's sort of the like chain and the chain link conversation, like
Yeah.
which one is going to move us forward. Like, so Eternals, we said last week, like it's not really clear how this moves the universe forward, but
Mhm.
it's still a good movie. So it's just, I think it's trying to um evaluate fandom satisfaction. And I
Mm.
think, one, they're never going to be satisfied, so there's that.
Hell no.
But then there's also this like, how do you balance both of those obligations?
Yeah. I'm
You
sorry.
know?
I know you had more to get to, but
No, you're
um
fine. This is good
also
to talk about.
also that red notice, I'll put this in there. Well, yeah, I'll just say it now. I still haven't seen it, and I'm not rushing to see it. And I
No.
feel like that's weird because I'm a fan of all 3 of the leads in this.
Oh, for sure.
But what I'm not a fan of is Netflix. I'm sorry. Like it's just I want to see what is it? They all fall down.
The Harder They Fall. I
The
watched it
harder
this
they
weekend.
fall. I
I
want
watched
to
it this weekend.
like my mom called me and was like, Marcus, you have to watch it. You have to listen to the
Oh,
soundtrack.
Marcus, that movie is very much your shit. That
I
movie is
just it's
100% your shit.
God.
That
And
movie is, first off, that movie is produced by
yeah,
Jay-Z. He's
my
an
God.
executive producer. So Sean Carter is a producer. Then you add in the fact that if you really like traditional Westerns, it's got that Western story, but it's got that Jay-Z fucking swag written
Yeah.
all
Kinda like
over it.
that. Kinda like how Django was when Django came out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And it
want but
has,
and here's my problem though.
yeah.
Here's my problem. My problem is Netflix. The last thing that I watched on Netflix was Concrete Cowboys, which
Okay.
interestingly enough was also Idris Elba as a
Yeah.
cowboy. So I just don't know what it is. I'm not rushing to go see Red Notice. And then it makes me feel like, are you pumping the numbers because was anybody else as excited to see? Now, granted, my weekend was busy.
You
Like
you did have a
we,
busy weekend.
we were celebrating, and I'm not gonna lie, maybe that's why I didn't rush to go see it. But I almost forgot that it came out until I seen The Rock pop up on my Instagram.
Well, I mean, it was again, they said in the article that I did, like kind of talking about Red Notice and kind of pivoting over that way. They said that they've been marketing it and that they had been really pushing it, but to be honest with you, like I didn't really see any major marketing
I
efforts
didn't either.
until the week
The week of,
of its release.
same
Now,
here.
maybe that's just me and where my head is at. And again, we live in South Dakota, so maybe some of this marketing stuff isn't touching us as
Yeah,
much.
which we're realizing is a thing for people that do listen to us.
Oh, for sure.
The way that they market things, and maybe it's a Vermilion thing. If we lived in Sioux Falls, which is
We
no
do.
more than an hour away from us,
It'd be a little
or
different.
Sioux City, I think that the algorithm would hit us differently.
For
But
sure.
legitimately, while we're here in Vermilion, I do not see a lot of. I also don't have cable, so keep that in
Yeah,
mind.
neither do I.
But I don't see a lot of commercials and a lot of announcements or a lot of anything about any of these movies that come out. It just goes off of what we know is coming
Right.
because we follow our local theater on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, and I think even to that point though, like we don't have cable, but like Netflix,
Yeah.
every time they opened it, when they have a new release, they always play the trailer and you can click on it to find more information about when
Mhm.
it's like gonna drop or what have you. They didn't do any of that. And I know
Yeah.
because Brittany is like loves Netflix because it has murder shows on it. Um, and that's just
Watch your back.
I gotta be careful. You're never
Yeah.
finding my body, everybody.
Yeah.
Just a
Yeah.
heads up. You're never gonna find it.
R.I.P. to Doug and Brian. This is
We're
now Films in Black.
Films in Black because Doug died and
And Brian,
Brian's having a kid. So,
two
so that
opposite ends of the spectrum.
very life and death. That's exactly films with life and death.
Well,
So we,
wow. Maybe people would no longer. Hold on.
yeah,
Remember your point. Hold it. Hold on to
I've
it
got it.
tight.
I've got it right here.
People, when I say that I have a podcast and it's called Films in Black and White,
Yep.
please do not follow up segments in the paper that I love. And I love our newspapers.
Yeah.
I love the Volant and I love, oh God, what's the other one for the city?
Plain talk.
Plain Talk. Love
Yep.
Plain Talk. I read an article that I didn't know I was in. It was about
Okay.
that banquet that we went to, right?
Yeah.
Because my landlord, I told my landlord, I want to go pay my rent. And she was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, congratulations on that article. I saw it like a month ago." And I was like, "Oh, I was thinking it was something in the Volant." And she was like, "No, it's in Plain Talk." I said, "Plain Talk has never written about me before, as far
Right.
as I know." So I was like, "Oh shit, I don't know if this is good or
Uh-oh.
bad." She was like, "Yeah, it talks about you singing in the hallway, all this." I was like, "I need to go find this article." Mind you, it
Yeah.
was like a month ago. So I go on my phone and go to the Plain Talk website and look up the article. It's about the banquet, and they were
Yeah.
saying how they, talking to people and like what they thought of me. So of course, I listed. I love. I have a podcast called Films in Black and White. That it says that Marcus has a podcast where he talks about black and white movies. That's not what this
That is
podcast is
not what
about.
this is.
That is
That
not
is
what this is about.
I've had to answer that question more times than I care to of like, "Oh, so you only talk about like black and white movies?"
No,
No, man. Look at our pictures.
it's
Figure it out. Like, like
it's
we're
put two and two together.
yeah,
God
come
damn it.
on. Don't make me do the work for you. Like just
Like
do
a
your
bright
do your homework.
orange icon, bright
Yeah.
orange pictures.
Yeah,
Like, come
because
on
when
now.
you see our logo, you know what that screams?
Yeah.
Turner Classic Movies, black and white. Like that.
You know us. Like,
You
no.
know us.
God, it just blows me every time. But sorry, go
Yeah.
ahead. Get back to your point.
Here's my point. My point is that it feels as if you log in and you had a choice to be able to pitch it and market it that way, but they didn't even do that.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of confused, I guess, a little bit on the marketing. And this is relevant to Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah.
All of these marketing things are so maybe they're just not worried about the Star Wars stuff making money. Maybe they're saving their budget to go to put on Book of Boba Fett. Maybe Red Notice was they wanted, maybe they just thought the Dwayne The Rock Johnson hype train would get everybody on board, which again, anything that man touches, that man
It
wakes up
turns to gold.
and he pisses gold. Like I
Yeah.
swear to
Actually,
God,
he pisses in a bottle because there's no bathroom in his gym, but that's a different story.
that's a whole different story. Actually,
Yeah.
I think it just sweats out. So don't
No,
believe it.
that's a real story.
Is it really?
Yes. He in the Iron Paradise, he talks about how it has no gym, and somebody posted or zoomed in a picture, and it was a water bottle with yellow liquid in it, and it was like, oh, The Rock pees in a water bottle, And he was like, yes, this is a true story. I
This
have
man,
old
this
water
man
bottles and
is an
fish.
animal that should not be taunted. Like he is, when you go to the zoo and you're like, I'm gonna fuck with the gorillas.
Don't fuck with
Don't
that
fuck
gorilla.
with this one. This
That man
one,
posted a random picture of like, yeah, I had to rip my gate off because I couldn't get out the house this morning. A fucking
like,
iron gate out of a brick wall.
or he always takes these pictures. His shoulders and biceps are impressive.
Huge.
His fucking legs are
His
what
thighs
scare
are
the shit out of
wild.
me.
If he put you in a fucking, what is that wrestling
Like a
move?
like a figure four leg lock, he is breaking my legs.
Jesus
Like that is
Christ.
exactly what's happening.
That's ridiculous.
But I feel, I mean, and maybe that was what the success of Red Notice was all about. It had the hype train that was going to be along with it, and he put it on his back and he carried it. And Ryan Reynolds did his fair shot. Everybody did their shot, but it just felt a little bit quiet. So I guess I'm a little surprised by those numbers, and I'm surprised at Disney and how they marketed stuff too. Because that Twitter feed on their Disney Plus announcement was a nightmare, because it was just a series of like tweets after the main tweet. They made one big announcement, and then after that it was like, oh, and by the way, Chip and Dale's coming out. And then after that it was entire Pinocchio's coming out. And they just had so many different announcements. Yeah.
And I'll say this, the last thing about the marketing thing. I don't want us, and I think Eternals kind of did the same thing. And maybe this is just a weird pattern that I'm making up in my head, which is very well possible because I'm wild. But I don't want movies to get so dependent on the star power again that they stop giving effort in the marketing.
Yeah.
It's working. This is working. This is what's working for Spider-Man. They don't have to do shit. No. Spider-Man trends every other week when a new rumor pops up. And like, I'm pretty sure somebody has listed the in and outs of what's going to happen in that movie. And guess what? People are still going to watch it. With Red Notice, though, you have Ryan Reynolds, Gal Gadot, and The Rock. I think that those three personalities, for all that it's worth, not to mention the post promo when they have to go in there like journalist runs and all this other shit they have to do, right? That people relied on. These three, Ryan Reynolds is going to go to Twitter. He's going to do his thing on Twitter. The Rock is going to do his thing on Instagram because The Rock has a really good Instagram and he knows what he's doing and how to sell it. Gal Gadot, I'm not really familiar with.
She's a little bit quieter. I haven't seen her post as much as others.
But she's Wonder Woman, and people know that. And it's like, okay, you got Gal Gadot with these two guys. That's what you sell it on. Eternals had an all-star cast that really, for the most part, you didn't really get to see like all of their acting abilities in this movie, right? But it still was it's a Marvel property with an all-star cast. I just don't want people getting so caught up in Ewan McGregor, Star Wars. It's Ewan McGregor coming back to an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh, and you have Hayden Christensen coming back to,
which is a huge announcement. And I am beyond excited about one of those still images where it shows potentially one of the Inquisitors, which a while back I really got into the Darth Vader Marvel comic series, and that was really cool to see that story play out. So it got everybody, including myself, excited to see that. So yeah, you're right. Like, I don't want anybody to skimp on those marketing efforts because one, don't just associate things and permanently associate them that way. And two, come on, studios, help these guys out. Like, some of these folks are not a part of a generation that is deep into social media, and they need some help in trying to figure it. And they have publicists. Work with their publicists. Like, this shouldn't be as hard as it is to get some hype built up around a movie. I mean, all you have to do apparently is say Mephisto is in it, and every motherfucker's going to retweet that. If we retweet that till the day comes home.
And don't assume just because we're on streaming now that your marketing efforts now have to be lessened, because when it was movie time, you go all out. But just because it's streaming and people are at home, everybody's streaming. You need to do just as much, if not more, to get your specific movie in front of people on whatever platform. Because when you said coming to theaters, the theater it felt like a one central location you could go to. It was a building, right? You go to whatever theater is your favorite, and this movie is going to be out. This one is, I have 7 different streaming services, and I have 3 hit movies coming out on 3 separate out of those 7, 3
all
of
on
those
the same
platforms,
weekend.
all on the same weekend. How do I get my specific audience and demographic, which is even harder to tell nowadays? Like, if you're in an urban area, you have an urban demographic, and your commercials will lean more urban. The music will. We've talked about this before,
right?
But when you are on a streaming site, how do you get those same demographics down, and how do you determine who's watching what and who's missing what?
Right, and remember how many people are paying the extra $2 to not see the ads.
Right.
Like, you
Right.
have to come up with ways to integrate this and to get it out in front of eyes,
Right.
and the other thing to keep in mind, especially now, is unfortunately Christmas season, although Thanksgiving
What do
has
you
not
mean,
happened,
unfortunately?
is in full swing, and market and now businesses are in this game too. So it's not
Oh
just
yeah.
about your entertainment, it's about thinking about the holiday that's coming up.
Oh yeah.
Add on top of that COVID restrictions are coming dialing back in some places,
Hmm.
and you have a thing of people's attention spans are shorter. They're not a captive audience anymore. You can't trot out the same way you were doing it.
No. No.
You
No. No. No.
have to do something different, or people are going to miss it, and everybody will suffer as a result.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but you brought up Marvel, so I think
Yes.
the Disney Plus conversation is relevant to Marvel
Hmm.
because Marvel's Disney Plus shows had quite a field day, and they have a shitload of announcements of that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about what your thoughts are, because I want to pull up the all of the different announcements of things that they have coming out.
Here's what though. I don't even know where to start. The number one thing that I think caught my attention was Moon Knight.
Yes.
And it's because once again, I don't know anything about this. Um, but I was still excited about it. And She-Hulk.
Yes.
She-Hulk and Moon Knight were really the two that caught my attention big
Sure.
time.
Yeah.
Because I like the way that, let's start with She-Hulk. They did a great job at teasing her.
Mm-hmm.
They did not show full green She-Hulk, right? But
No.
they did a great job. And what I really like the most is how they're going about the series. She's a lawyer, and
Sure.
the way that they do, I don't even, is it like Sex in the City meets I'm trying to think of a nice good lawyer TV show, but it gives you that kind of comedic
Yeah.
lawyer like vibe,
Almost like
right?
an Ally McBeal style fourth wall breaking,
Yeah,
except
yeah.
except when she gets mad, she turns into a rage monster.
Yep, there you go. Good
Yeah.
job. I
Yeah.
think that was good.
Yeah.
And so you see that the Hulk is in here, his arm is healed.
Mhm.
She-Hulk is obviously in this. And then Kevin Feige, Kevin Feige, I don't know
I think
what
it's Feige.
is it Feige? I feel like it's Feige. Kevin
Yeah.
Feige, was talking about how he's excited because she's a lawyer and where you never know who's going to pop up in that series because
That's
she's a
true.
lawyer that is specific to like superhero metahuman
Yeah.
issues, right? So
Yeah.
imagine having a lawyer for all of your favorite superheroes and this being like that crossing to see Falcon or Captain America now.
Yeah.
Captain America taking a stand over something that happens and she's got to be the lawyer to defend it.
Yeah.
Like it's so much potential in that. And then the thing that
Yeah.
I liked about Moon Knight was it's something new. Have no
Yeah,
idea what's
very
going
new.
on. I'm kind of familiar. I'm not even going to say I'm kind of familiar. I have an understanding of Moon Knight's past
Yeah.
and what goes on with him. But other than that, I just like seeing Oscar Isaac
Mhm.
in that role. Is that his name?
No, it's yeah, no, it's Oscar Isaac. You're right.
Oscar Isaac. I keep getting confused with Leto from goddamn
Ye
Dune.
No, it is Leto from Dune. Is that not Oscar, right? Oh, you mean his name.
His name. I keep getting
Yeah.
his name is Leto,
You've
and
got
then I
him
want to
down as
call him.
you got him down
Yeah,
as Leto.
Jesus, going
That's
down a
really
rabbit
funny.
hole.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by Moon Knight because I read a couple of Moon Knight comics via the Marvel Unlimited app back when this first got announced because I was like, well, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Let me start somewhere. And dude, he's raw. Like he's a gritty superhero. He does not this isn't like he he punches a couple guys in the face and then they all go home. They go back home. He goes back home. Like this dude's out here cutting people up
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
really and again putting himself through that level of damage too. So I'm very intrigued by that. So the full slate of announcements they announced on Disney Plus Day was they announced a Secret Invasion series, a
They
Marvel
did.
Zombie series, an Agatha House of Harkness series, Ironheart, I Am Groot, Spider-Man Freshman Year, Echo, What If Season 2, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and X-Men 97.
The X-Men 97. Oh, I forgot that they reannounced that.
I did
That's
too.
really interesting. And I heard that the original cast is coming back in addition to some new
Yeah.
voices in there
Yeah.
too.
I'm excited. I like that idea. I also thought that I mean, I think they had like so this was 12 different images and it was all
Yeah.
like black background with a font of the
Yes.
logo.
Font reveal.
But that X-Men 97 one, they were like, oh fuck, we've done this. give it to Dave's cousin. He generates a lot of memes because that one is literally Wolverine sitting in his bed
Yes.
looking at an image. And
Yeah.
in the show, it's Wolverine looking at Scott and Jean, but
Yep.
then they cut to what he's looking at, and he's looking at the logo for X-Men 97. So
Yeah.
that one like just doesn't fit, but they need to do more of that because I thought that was hilarious.
That was a lot. That was a lot. I feel
Yeah.
like that was better execution than the
Yeah.
than the
Yeah.
Kenobi reveal.
Oh, for sure. But I'm excited. I mean, there are a couple of these that I think are going to be interesting. The Marvel Zombies one could be interesting. I mean, obviously they're leaning into the popularity of that that episode in What If.
Yeah.
I think Ironheart could be really good depending on how it's executed. I think
Ironheart
all
be
of these could be really good. The only one that I'm and there are going to be people who don't like me as a result
good.
of saying this. The only one that I'm not super like understanding is Agatha House of Harkness. I don't
Yes.
I don't wanna be that guy,
Yeah.
but that one feels like well, everybody really loved the song, so let's give them more of that. Like,
Yeah.
I just that
Like
and
it
that bugs
wasn't
me.
in the original plans.
No.
Like it was not in the original plans, but then you realize, oh, this person's a hit. We
Yeah.
should give him a series.
Yeah, and I'm kinda curious as to what they're gonna cover, and who knows, I mean, I don't need to know now, I am capable of wonder and being able to figure this out,
Capable of
but
wonder.
I'm genuinely kinda curious as to what this all looks like.
I pulled it up, so now I'm looking at it. Here's what's interesting. Just going off real quick.
Yeah.
What If season 2? Did not watch season 1. Probably will not watch it. Miss Marvel was interesting.
Mhm.
I am really interested in Miss Marvel because I know that the Marvels is coming out
Yep.
after that, and so
Yeah.
that's going to be really interesting. Like I said, She Hulk is good. Moon Knight, X-Men 97, Echo. Echo's interesting because I feel like you cannot do an Echo without doing a Daredevil.
I
Um,
also feel that way.
there's no way you do Echo without at least mentioning or reintroducing
Yeah.
Daredevil. And if Daredevil is in Spider-Man Far From Home, then that it's clear that he's gonna be.
Well, and even his connection to like She-Hulk, apparently there's a
Yes.
rumor flying around that She-Hulk and Charlie Cox's character from Daredevil apparently have relations,
Mm, like
which
it.
is
It's kinky.
interesting.
That's kinky.
I mean,
Um, I mean,
hey,
if you like it,
whatever does it, man.
green and
Some
red is
some du-
Christmas
some
season.
some dudes like to be yelled at, and that's
Some
fine.
dudes like to be yelled at and thrown up against the wall. That's my kink. Um, break my neck, why don't you? One of the things I don't like, Ironheart, excited for. You better do it the fuck right. I swear to Jesus, you better do it right.
Right.
Like I see Marvel, I see your. I want to say this, Marvel. I see your attempt at diversifying things, and I
I
appreciate it.
absolutely do. I
I
absolutely appreciate
appreciate
it.
it. But I need you to do better than you did with Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I'm sorry. With
Absolutely.
a black female lead and a young black female lead, I need you to be ready. That's it. That's all I'm saying. The other thing is, I am Groot. Not excited about that. And please
Yeah.
stop making shit like this. I know that's not, I may not be the audience for that, but
Right.
I am not excited about
Right.
I Am Groot. And Marvel Zombies, I could care less. Secret Invasion, I thought was cool, and the reveal of
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson,
Samuel
I thought
Jackson
that was
looks
good.
gritty. I think that could be really cool, and Secret Invasion is a really cool
Yeah,
storyline, so I think there's stuff that they could do with that.
yeah.
To your point about the, like to your point about the, like, Ironheart series, I
Mhm.
agree. Please don't fuck this up. Like,
Please,
please don't make this a nightmare, and
please.
what makes me, like, a little bit worried is apparently, like, Malcolm Malcolm Spellman, he was a head writer and executive producer for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They were doing some, like, interview with him, and apparently he said in a quote, we are going to put him through the ringer to
God, I
make him
saw
earn the Captain America title. And part of me is like, oh man, please don't say that.
that.
Like,
If
please don't say that.
you know what it
Like,
feels like? It feels like they were. First of all, I'm asking them what the fuck was the series about. I'm
right.
sorry, we're not supposed to be going on tangents. Please
You
continue.
this is relevant. So you tangent away, sir.
I feel like okay, what the fuck was the series about? Let's just go ahead and break it
I
down. Let me
mean,
fix my microphone. What the fuck was the series about? You put them through all that shit for what? Like what? So you really want to? And it feels like they are trying to answer questions ahead of what people are thinking, and it's
yeah.
putting them in a bad situation. I don't think anybody gave a fuck that he did not have a serum. So it feels like you're trying to prove why he should still be Captain America even when he doesn't have a serum. We have comic books. We understand that, like,
Right.
we know who Sam is. Stop trying to answer our questions before we get there. No, I don't want to see that story. I don't want to see a Black Captain America continue to struggle because he doesn't have a serum. That shit was already mentioned before.
Right. That's old. That's old shit. Give me something different and trust me to figure it out. Like, you don't
God
need me to
damn.
spell it out. The
Y'all just
exact
cannot
quote
get this shit right.
the exact quote is, what happens with this guy who announces publicly, kind of without support, I'm the new Captain America. What happens next? I think is a fascinating, because he's a guy. He's a guy. He's the guy with wings and shield, but he is a guy. So we're going to put him through the ringer and make him earn it and see what happens when he is outweighed, outclassed, and out everythinged. And part of me is like,
He's black. He's black. He got to deal with all this shit
fuck,
already.
man. Like, this is a story we've heard before. Like, can we not with this? Can you just skip that part? Like, I get it. And if you want to make that the reoccurring theme, like, if you want to make that a subtext of, like, remember, he doesn't have a serum, so everything is a little extra hard, that's fine. That's going to be there no matter what.
Yeah,
But you
always.
can't build the entire story around, we're going to make him earn it. Fuck that, man. Like, I don't want to watch him earn it.
Right. Because he didn't want it in the first place. Then he realized he had to take it. So why the
Right.
fuck are you making me go through something? Which is just further proves my point that that series was ass. I'm
I
sorry.
did not enjoy 90%. I mean, there were poor
There
moments.
was
There were
good. There were
episodes
good
that were
parts in
good,
there.
but that the finale left me with
Terrible.
such a bad taste in my
Terrible.
mouth that it's hard for me to make my way back from that. Like, I
John
really
Walker.
did not enjoy the
John Walker
finale.
was a piece of shit and was not the best version of that villain that he could have been. But I understand why when it ended was because you were using him to set him up for something else. And then the relationship between Bucky and Sam, amazing. But I think that's because they have good off-screen chemistry.
I
So
think you're
like
right.
that was natural. Everything. God. Anyway, please just get Ironheart right. This is your
Please.
chance to get it right. And this is somebody that's going to be taking up the Iron Man mantle to an extent.
Yeah.
That's going to be an even harder act to follow because Tony sacrificed him fucking self.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to get this shit right. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done
No.
talking. Go ahead.
That's very good. All of that is good points, and I completely agree. Is that there's got to be some nuance with these things going forward, and I'm excited to see them. Ironheart's a cool story. They're all
Yes.
of these stories will have some sort of merit. I'm a little confused by Agatha House of Harkness. Am I still gonna watch it? 100%, no doubt in my mind. I'm absolutely gonna
Probably.
watch it.
Maybe.
But that's really, I mean, other things from Disney Plus. I mean, you got some Disney announcements like Pinocchio starring Tom Hanks as Geppetto, which, fuck me,
Why does that make sense?
that sounds very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That just
I
makes one of those things I heard and I was like, yep, that makes sense.
He's not
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
Geppetto. Okay,
Right.
that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Disney Plus Day. I think in terms, if I can like put a bow on the Disney Plus conversation, I think in terms of Fandom versus Disney Plus Day, Fandom did it better. I think they had a better rollout. I think they kept it to one day. But I think if you really want to build some hype, Disney, and there's no reason why they can't do this. I mean, I think maybe the only reason why they couldn't is because it followed Fandom. But if they had come first and Disney Plus Day came before Fandom,
Oh, it'd be
they
wild.
probably would have had some sort of streaming event. But I'm sure they didn't want to make it seem like they were following up. Plus, theirs was on a Friday. So we'll see what happens next year for Disney Plus Day with it being on a Saturday, because maybe there'll be a live stream where they can get more audiences. So I think it'll be curious. I think the other thing
Is this the first?
it's the first. No, it's the first like big announcement.
Okay.
Where they've rolled out, where they've made it like a formal event.
Okay.
Remember last year was right kind of at the middle of the pandemic, and they were getting people jacked about it.
That's right.
And they were sort of like saying like, "Oh, thanks for celebrating with us." And then this year they're like, "No, like we can now. It's our second annual. This is something we can celebrate." The other thing to keep in mind, everybody, for those of you really hungry for a Kenobi trailer, to kind of again circle back and loop everything together.
Kenobi.
It could be, remember, we have their Disney Investor Day coming up in December.
Ugh.
It could be that they want to show the trailer to the Disney investors folk at that event, and they're saving the trailer for that rather than just doing it for Disney Plus Day, given how big it is and how important from a Star Wars perspective it is for that franchise going forward. So it could be that they leave it there. Who knows? Not exactly sure. but we'll find out. So, anything else you wanted to add about Disney Plus Day?
No, hell no.
Okay. What do you have for news, sir? That was a long discussion, but what do you
That
got?
was. I think we all know at this point was about to crack. Listen, tomorrow this episode comes out Wednesday, so it should already be out.
Yep.
There's a new Spider-Man trailer that is coming.
Yes.
And I just want to go ahead and get it out of the way and just give our thoughts, because there was a lot of discussion surrounding this trailer. And there was apparently a back and forth between, I'm going to say Kevin Feige. I was going to say Marvel, but I feel like Kevin Feige just runs that portion.
It's fair to say Kevin Feige, because he runs both the comic division and the Marvel Studios division.
Yeah.
I think it's fair for everybody to say, so Kevin had a conversation.
Yes. And what I would give my left arm to have that for DC. Yeah. Just to have somebody who's the lead with a singular vision, and then expanding upon that vision would be great. But anyway, so Kevin, there was discussion between Sony and Kevin, and apparently they changed what the trailer was going to have in it at the last minute.
Okay.
Kevin wanted to reveal that it was Tobey, and that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were actually going to be in the trailer.
Okay.
And like you were going to see them. Sony said, we don't want to do that reveal. We don't want you to reveal them. We don't want them to be in the trailer. So apparently that was like a lot of big back and forth, and they decided to follow Sony's route, where you'll hear them, but you will not see them in the trailer. So all we supposedly know is who all the villains are, and then there's a rumored sixth villain, which it could be anybody from Hobgoblin to goddamn. You pick Waterman, Hydro Man. I don't know.
It could be anybody. I mean, they could do Morbius if they wanted to. They could do any. They could do any of these if they really wanted to.
Yes, and so. The trailer, I heard the trailer is about 2 minutes and 55 minutes long, but the movie is 2 hours and
49 minutes long.
And 49 minutes long. When Tom Holland said this was like Endgame for him, I was like, you damn Skippy. I said, they are telling some type of story in this Spider-Man thing. They are not trying to Spider-Man 3, if that makes sense.
I wanna circle back to that Tom Holland comment.
Yes.
Because I think where this feels like a clusterfuck is that I think it's just, I don't know if people are trying to hide things. And this goes back to like, who do you believe? And I think this highlights a point that I want to make of like, can we not spoil shit? Like, can we just let some stuff sit and enjoy it for a minute? And enjoy that in
respect to, is that in respect to his comment?
Yeah, no, he made another comment that he said Tobey and Andrew aren't in it.
Okay.
And it was on Instagram circling around, I think it was like a week and a half ago. He released a statement in an interview. He had two statements. He goes, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but I don't think that they are they're not as prevalent as people would hope that they are. Which again makes sense. And then two, he also said that this is gritty and raw, and you see their characters go through things that you wouldn't wish your friends to go through.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for me to take that juxtaposition and like figure all of that out. So I'm kind of curious as to how much stock do we put in, and where are we going to put our faith? Do we put our faith in the actors who are in it? Do we put it in the studio to deliver the message? Or do at some point in time we just let this shit speak for itself?
Great. That's a great question, and I have no immediate answer. The cynical part of me says this, right? Marvel covers all their bases. I think Marvel is much smarter than we think they are, and I also think Sony is much smarter than we think they are.
Sure.
Yes, than we think they are. Yes. So, Marvel gives them multiple scripts.
Yeah.
And I think that one script does not include, or maybe they didn't tell them,
right,
Tobey and Andrew Garfield. One script has it, one script doesn't. So when anybody asks you, hey, is anybody in this film? Hey, my script did not have them in this film. And that's one. That's script A. But script B, damn sure got them in it. And script C, damn sure got them in it. And script D probably don't have them in it, or has an alternate. You know what I mean? So I feel like they're trying to cover themselves. Yeah. But I absolutely agree that you should let it speak for itself. But I will play devil's advocate.
Yes.
And I want to have devil's advocate a little bit. Because if you don't have these conversations beforehand, is it then considered too much going on? Or did we have these
Oh,
discussions
good
enough
question.
leading up to this to then normalize we're liable to see anything or nothing? Because now you have sides that
Ooh,
are like,
okay.
not because now we have sides that are like, okay, either yes, they're going to be in it. There's going to be 3 Spider-Man in this movie.
Mhm.
Then you have the other side that is like, no, it's just going to be Peter versus the villains. Either
Sure.
way, we know that there's going to be more than one of something,
Sure. Yeah.
whether it's a villain or it's Spider-Man. I think when you mold these conversations like conditioning in any sport, you do it enough, then your mind kind of adjusts to
Yeah.
whatever the fuck is going to happen on screen. You don't know.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like,
that's
is that fair? Or, like, I just want to hear what your thoughts are.
I mean, I think that's a fair question. I do think I think Marvel is unfortunately, and I think some of these places that have these very vocal fandoms, I do think that there is an obligation to give the fans a heads up so
Yeah,
that way they can start to prime themselves for it.
yeah,
But then that leads me as much as I feel like they have to do that because otherwise people will just be they'll just be out there like roasting it, right? Like they'll just be pissed off and tweeting like this sucks. This the studio let us down.
mhm,
And so I feel like this is a way for us to say we didn't let you down. You just chose to listen to just Tom or
yeah,
just us when in fact you needed to take all of this information and put it all together. And again, Tom's comment could have been I've gotten in trouble for running my mouth before,
yeah,
so now I'm gonna tell you the opposite of the truth,
yeah.
so that way no one can accuse me of shit. Like, it could be that's the angle, but I think Marvel and I think DC and I think others are in an anytime you're doing content that's inspired by source material that people deeply love, even Harry Potter to an extent, I think there are people who are gonna be automatically disappointed if it isn't exactly as it appears
Oh yeah,
or as close to what they're expecting.
yeah.
If I were a betting man based
That
on Tom's comments and then the information you gave us, um, I think more than likely we will have villains tell their backstory of their battle with their Spider-Man, and that is how we will see them.
I disagree,
Okay.
and I love when we can disagree because
I love it too. We usually
Doug and
spend
I
the
usually
halftime
we
like,
usually yeah,
"Good point. Good
yeah,
for us."
we'll spend 30 minutes patting each other on the back.
Yeah,
But
we're good at that.
but um I do it sounds like you said we're good at that. Like you like, yeah,
We are. Hey, good
he's pretty
job.
good at
Proud of
patting
you.
himself. I like that. Good job. Not too much pressure, not too soft, not too rough.
Yeah, a little bit.
So what I feel like is we are going to see them.
Okay.
And I think it's and once again, this is I'm the business side of me.
Okay.
The business side of me says Marvel can hear me clearly. Marvel can do it.
I mean, they could
And I've
yeah.
mentioned this before that it feels like Marvel is giving everything that they've ever wanted to do in live action.
Mhm.
They're doing it.
Oh, I think that's Disney's angle. I mean, we're seeing a
Yes.
live action Pinocchio, and the last time they did
Yes.
that, it was a shit show.
It
So, yeah, I
was a
think you're
little creepy,
absolutely
wasn't
right.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Jonathan Taylor Thomas played Pinocchio, and it was just bonkers top to bottom.
Yeah, that sounds nuts.
Yeah.
But I feel like Marvel can do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like Kevin Feige saw that meme of the 3 Spider-Man looking at each other, and they looked at the successes of Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, and they said, "Let's do that."
Oh,
And they
yeah.
called Toby and asked Toby, "How much to get you back in the suit?" And Toby said, "Look, man, I'm trying to move on past that. This past my life." They slid that number across that table. They said, "What about this number?" He said, "You goddamn right. Let me
Just
go on my
look
diet right now."
slapped him, like, "How dare you,
He was
sir?" Like, offended that it was that much money.
He's like, I think you left the extra zero or a Cheerio on the back end. He was like, no, 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 no.
No,
We can do that.
we can
And
do
it's
that.
like because who are you paying as your big dogs right now in Marvel?
I mean,
Tom Holland, one.
Tom Holland.
Benedict Cumberbatch, two.
Yep, he's still in it. You're paying the
Um,
character for Wong. Your
Thor.
actor from Thor, you're paying, the
Okay, that
guy
was a
who
stupid question. Then never mind.
we can
There's
keep
too
going
many
down
people.
this.
There's a lot of people in there.
Right.
Because I was thinking before it was Chris Evans. It's Chris Evans. It's Robert Downey Jr. You have Scarlett Johansson.
I think those are your
Like,
previous
good
big bills.
lord.
I think your previous big bills. I think we're gonna see an emergence of a new set.
Oh yes, but I was saying like, are we paying anybody right now that actually needs the money? Like that
You
they
mean
don't.
besides Tobey Maguire for some
Yeah,
reason?
but it's like Andrew Garfield, you just got out the suit like 3 days ago, so like just relax, buddy. You know, it's like that. I don't want to. I'm not trying to be
Right.
rude, but I'm like, you
Yeah.
recently just stopped being Spider Man, and that's because Sony fucked up, and they know that they
Mm,
fucked up, right?
yeah.
And so Andrew Garfield is getting another opportunity. We all love
Mm-hmm.
Toby, but Toby's like, this could be the opportunity to wrap this shit up. To be
He,
like,
he could
you
put
ever
a nice.
wondered where I was after Spider-Man 3? I'm gonna show you exactly in this movie, then shut the fuck up and leave
Either
me
either
alone.
either that, or
Or
it's a
what?
chance for him to get Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4,
No.
which is what Raimi's wanted to do.
Don't Raimi is Raimi let Raimi I'm saying no. Toby, I feel like Toby is past the Spider-Man shit. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Okay,
I feel like Toby
that's
is
fair.
past the Spider-Man shit. And if Toby did another movie, I will hop on this podcast and physically eat a boot. I will eat a boot. I will physically come on this podcast on camera and eat a Timberland boot.
I mean,
Okay.
Tobey Maguire is 46.
He's
Not
dumb.
that age has anything to do with it. I mean, the man looks perpetually 29, so
He
I
does.
don't think
He
there's
does.
any worry there. But
No, I just think that, when you have these actors is what I consider Tobey Maguire.
mhm,
When you have these actors, they don't tend to want to cling on to the
yeah,
past that much. It's like if Leonardo DiCaprio was just stuck in that one role and only known for that one thing, I think that would piss him off.
if they
If
kept
he was only known for
pigeonholing him
Wolf
in
of Wall Street,
Titanic-esque roles or
right,
Wolf of Wall Street roles,
right,
yeah,
right, he would be pissed and he would be like, bro, I've done other things other than that.
yeah,
And I think this is a good opportunity to wrap up that shit with Toby. Andrew
mhm,
Garfield, you're either giving him a chance to be his own Spider-Man again in this
yeah,
universe that maybe Sony has or doesn't have, but it sounds like Tom Holland is also talking like Spider-Man is going to shift back over to so.
yeah.
I'm talking too much. Here's what I think. That
No,
shit
you're
ain't
fine.
happening. So they are going to be in that movie. I think that there's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be like good dialogue between like Toby, Tom, and
Yeah.
because it's a missed opportunity if you don't.
I mean, I feel like you're absolutely right though. I feel like I feel like Kevin was like sitting in his house like you and I usually do, like on his bed, scrolling through
Yeah.
like Instagram, and he saw a meme of
Yep.
all three of them pointing, and he was like, fuck, that's funny. And then he went, no, wait a minute. Like he just like woke up that day and said, like, hold on now. And he
Yeah.
turned to his wife, he's like, I could make this. And she was like, whatever, go back to
Yeah.
bed."
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
that's how we got
And
Spider-Man
he
No Way
went
Home.
into the office the next day and he was called a big meeting and he said, how many of you motherfuckers knew about this meme and didn't tell me? And everybody was just like looking
Motherfuckers knew
around like,
about this.
what the fuck? He's like, we can do this, right? And he's like, are you fucking serious?
I wanna meet the poor fucking guy who works in his office, who has to feel his wrath on a regular basis. The guy who's like, "You wanna do what? Oh, I mean, of course we can do it, but should we?" People are gonna be like, the other guy on the other end of the phone,
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
assistant who has to, like, type all his ramblings
Yeah.
up to be,
Yeah.
like, into something coherent to pitch to Disney.
I
Like,
want to
I
read a memoir because I want to see what his
Oh,
brain is like.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to
Absolutely.
see
So
what his brain's like.
Kevin, come on the pod. We'd love to have
Please,
you. We would
for
love to
the
have you
love
on the
of
pod.
God, we're gonna keep it real with you, Kev. Like
Absolutely.
I just need to. I have to pick your brain because one person, Jesus Christ, one person leading all of these, not really alone, but there's
Right.
somebody with a vision.
Yeah. There's somebody who's been trusted to take you there, and he does it. So
I hate this.
I hate it here.
I hate it here. I forgot what we were talking about. God damn it.
No, we were talking about, whether or
Spider-Man.
not they appear. But
Anyway,
I think,
Spider-Man trailer's coming out tomorrow. The
yeah,
posters are terrible. I
they
need
are
somebody else
not.
to do the posters. And I don't know where we go after this. And we talked about the rumor a long, long time ago that it was
Yep.
going to be
We did.
stages of Spider-Man. And the way Tom Holland is saying, like, I do think that this is the end of the high school Spider-Man we know and love, and will
Yeah.
then lead into more of an adultish Peter Parker having to make. Because if you
Oh,
think
sure.
about it, Peter hasn't had to make any really, really hard decisions yet.
I think this is
Everything
going to be the
Spider-Man
first
watch has been
example.
lighthearted. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I
And I
think the
think
other
he
thing
loses
is,
somebody. Somebody dies.
oh, and I think I know who it is.
Who do
Just
you think it is?
based on their like appearance in the marketing and based on where they're at and based on all of it, I think I know who dies.
Who do you think
And
it is?
I think it's Aunt May. I don't
Ah,
think you have her after the third installment, and I think that tragedy has to be a part of it. So I think Aunt May dies as a
that's a
result.
lot, Doug. You think so? I didn't go
Oh,
there at all.
absolutely.
I went with Ned.
No,
Um,
I think Ned becomes. I could see Ned going one of two ways. I think he could either be injured and blame Peter, and then
oh
be picked up. I think what happens is I think that the villains from the other universes know that the key to Peter Parker is his family, and
yeah.
I think they go directly for Aunt May.
Who's
Be
got the
as a
balls to kill on May?
I think
Oh
Norman.
God,
I think
yeah.
Norman
God,
Osborn.
that was a stupid question.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I think
forgot he did
Norman
this.
Osborn does it, and I think in the process he wounds Ned, and I think Ned looks at Peter and resents him for being so cavalier about putting him in that position without a choice.
But can he beat that? I see. This is gonna be a whole nother podcast.
It
I,
absolutely could be.
the way that it went down with Mysterio,
Yeah.
Peter didn't ask for any of this, and
No, he
that's the
didn't.
only thing that sticks out in my head is Peter didn't ask for any of this shit.
Well, but think about the escalation of loss, right? The escalation of loss is he's lost his mentor in Tony. The only escalation, losing Ned is, I mean, no disrespect to Ned. Losing Ned is significantly less than that. If this is his end game, the only person he can stand to lose is either Mary Jane, and they're not going to do that because
I
Zendaya
think they
is
could,
a moneymaker,
yeah.
or they lose Aunt May.
Or Happy, because let's think about it.
Or
If
fucking Happy too, and you
if
just
Happy is a new version of Uncle Ben, let's say that because we have
yeah.
not had the discussion about where's Uncle Ben, or we know where he is. May he rest
Mm,
in peace.
no, we haven't.
Hopefully he's got them. And
By the
go to
way,
please go to
Ghost
TikTok and
Uncle
watch Doug's goddamn. Please go watch
Ghost
Doug's
Uncle
TikTok.
Ben TikToks are my favorite. They're
Yo,
Ghost Uncle
that
Ben are
shit
my
blew.
favorite
I
to
think
do.
somebody stole your TikTok actually.
They did, but
Somebody
that's fine.
stole Doug's TikTok and it blew up. But
That's fine.
Doug did it first, and I'm here to let you know that Doug
It was
absolutely
funny.
did that shit first.
I'm glad I could provide an inspiration. That's how that
No,
fucking app works. So that's
no,
fine.
you sons of bitches, stop stealing. Like that's the fucking problem. Or give credit to the original creator.
That's
Doug's
fair.
gonna play nice and give inspiration. Fuck all that. Give credit where credit is due.
That's
You
true. It would be
goddamn
nice,
thieves.
but it would be nice. But
Fuck.
you're right. Where's Uncle Ben? I think, and again, based off of the first trailer, which I
Fuck
rewatched
Uncle Ben.
today,
He got to keep dying.
there is a Happy is in a car with guns on him, like at one point in time, like in the first trailer. Rewatch it. There are a bunch of laser sights on Happy, and he's sitting in a car with a bunch of laser sights on him, like somebody's trying to end his life. So there's something going on there.
I really like Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
I really do too. I
What I don't
genuinely
like,
like
and
him.
you know what scares the fuck out of me? Genuinely, him dating Zendaya in real life.
I mean,
And it's because
it could ruin the franchise.
God damn it. Like, I understand why you fell in love with her son. I get it. I don't blame you at all.
Buddy, we absolutely get it.
I don't blame you. And I think I told her in one of these episodes, and I need to apologize. I think I asked her to be an ottoman and sit on me or something
You
like
said that during the Dune episode. You said that you
Oh.
would be an ottoman and you'd let her sit on you.
This This is the title of this episode is going to be, this is the Zendaya apology episode.
The Zendaya apology episode.
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I didn't mean that like that, but I did, but not the way that it came out.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I see why you fell in love with her.
Oh, for sure.
But if shit goes wrong in real life, and hopefully y'all got a strong enough relationship to be like, hey, we're just gonna part, we're gonna part ways in a mutual. We can still keep it cool.
Yeah.
But fuck, bro.
Yeah.
I also
I can't
saw a rumor that he's gonna get a Venom suit at the end of this shit, and I'm kind of tired of these Venom. Like, everybody, shut the fuck up.
The rumors. We gotta get them to stop.
God.
Like, it just everybody sit down. Have a cup of tea. Relax.
When does this come out again?
It comes out Christmas or tomorrow. The trailer.
No, the movie, the actual movie.
It comes out around Christmas in December.
Yeah, the trailer they said comes out at 8:30 tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. tomorrow.
Okay. Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
They're really trying to build enough hype on this.
All right. Well, that's good. I'm glad. We'll see what that trailer reveals, and if we can hop on and talk about it and add it to the episode, we absolutely will. So stay tuned for more trailer breakdown. I do want to pivot over to our friends over at DC because there is another interesting announcement that I was kind of surprised to see come across my social feed. So we watched the Eternals last week, as I mentioned before,
We did.
and Barry Keoghan played Druig, and Barry Keoghan did an awesome job as Druig. But there is again, the rumor mill is spinning.
I broke the rumor on the last episode, everybody. At the
Yes,
end of, I broke it at the end of the podcast
yeah,
of last episode of the Eternals review.
yeah. So more of this stuff kind of came out, and I want to
Uh,
dive into it. So Eric Keegan, which is the brother of Barry Keegan, reacted to posted a reaction to a fan art as his brother is Joker, and he goes, "So it's finally out. My brother is playing the Joker in the new Batman. Unreal stuff." And when they asked Barry Keegan about it, he was like, "Oh, we can't talk about that. We can't talk about that yet." So he didn't
he didn't deny it.
dispel it. He didn't
Yeah.
be like sit there and be like deny it. He just said we can't talk about it. So one, is there any validity to this right off the jump? And then two, if there is, what are your thoughts on Barry Keegan playing the Joker?
Here's my thoughts. I love it.
Yeah,
I don't know much about Barry Keegan outside of the Eternals. That was my introduction into it. But
yeah,
I feel like he could play a crazy motherfucker, and that's what I like. Because
yeah.
Druig was like on the verge of crazy.
Um, yeah.
And I like the age matchup as well with Robert
Oh,
Pattinson
for
and Druig.
sure. Yeah.
That's what I find most appealing, because sometimes you get like either an older Joker or you get this kind of a younger Joker, but this one is like two of the young. You get a young Joker, young Batman, and watching them hopefully evolve over time with each other
Yeah.
over the span of a couple Matt Reeves movies, right?
Yeah.
And I bet that this guy comes in at the end,
Oh,
at the very end of
it'll
this
be
movie.
just be like how Nolan's Batman ended. Like you'll
Yeah,
see him or a calling card or something.
yeah.
So
Because they
yeah.
said he's supposed to start off as a cop, and
Oh,
then
sure.
he then becomes the Joker, or starts off as something else and then
Okay.
becomes the Joker.
Interesting.
That was the rumor, but I do like it. I like it. That was the
Yeah, I'm here
bottom
for it.
line. Because first of all, the way that this Matt Reeves movie is looking, goddamn it, from that second trailer.
This
As much as
movie's
I watched the
so
first
good.
one, I've watched the second one twice as much.
It's beautiful. Like
It's
it is
ridiculous.
so pretty. Like that movie is going to be absolutely gorgeous. And I am absolutely here for Hollywood making the decision to make all of their movies look this good. The
Yes.
Eternals looked
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like Nomadland looks
Mhm.
awesome. Like all of these movies, the cinematography is they're really leaning into the power of their cameras and making sure that everything looks gorgeous. And not even like just the CGI, just the way the shots are framed and taking risks and when they shoot, all of this stuff I'm absolutely here for. So, but yeah, I mean, I could be here for a Barry Keegan Joker. I'm kind of curious to see again how the rumor mill spins over the course of the next, few months, years until this movie comes out. So I'll be curious to see what happens. But
How do you
we'll find
how do
out.
you mistake that though? Because there's already a Riddler, so I could see how you could
Yeah,
possibly get those two confused if a Riddler wasn't in this movie.
right.
But how do you? And I'm
But
excited.
the only thing I
I'm
could see
excited.
is that the angle of getting him in there is the Riddler puts Batman in a point of weakness, and other villains will see like, oh well, there are ways that we can get to him, and so or the Riddler makes Batman much more aware of some of the other villains that take
Mhm.
place in the city. It's just he was the first one to do it big, so it'll be interesting.
I hope that there's a punchline where it's like, "Oh, you thought riddles would get it done. It's jokes indeed,"
Yes.
or something stupid like that, and I'm like, "Fuck, that was so corny, but god damn it, that was
That
good."
would be really cool. I would
Yeah.
one of those moments where you're like, "Oh, I fucking love it and hate it." Like, it's just those are one of those moments where, like, I hear sometimes a line and I'm like, "Oh, fuck you, that was
Yeah.
good."
But he was like,
Like,
"Why did that
mad
work
about it.
for me?" Yeah, like, "Did I really like that? Did that just give me chills?" Like, "Fuck me, I
Yep,
hate
it
me."
did. God damn it.
Shit.
Um, yeah, but that was the other piece of news I had. What else you got?
Yeah. Really, honestly, it's not a lot for me. I'm going
That's fine.
down the feed. I'll pick something random for you
I
right
have
here.
something else. If I have something else all queued up, if
Okay, well,
that'll
yeah,
help.
go ahead if you want to.
So
Yeah,
let's talk about Ridley Scott for a minute. So
please,
Ridley Scott
not this.
is a director. He has directed some outstanding movies. Gladiator, Alien, Blade Runner, just to name a few. But he came out recently, um, and he came out recently in an interview, and he said the best films are driven by the characters, and will come to superheroes after this if you want, because I'll crush it. I'll fucking crush it. They're fucking boring as shit. And so he went out to talk about how he thinks these superhero movies that we just spent the better part of an hour talking about are boring as shit, and that they don't have any character, and they're just basically flash. And this is also similar to, and the reason why I bring this up is I had somebody who I asked a question on my TikTok today, asking people to what they may want to have us chat about. And one of our listeners, coming to us all the way from across the pond in Ireland, wanted to talk about the debate as to whether or not superhero movies are destroying cinema, in the words of Martin Scorsese. And so I think Ridley Scott's comments combined with Martin Scorsese's comments bring up an interesting discussion. Do superhero movies have a presence in the same echelon as movies like Alien, or as movies like Gladiator, or are they fodder to be kind of ignored and not focused on?
I'm pretty sure somebody said the same thing about Alien when Alien came out in comparison to the other movies that were coming out at that time.
Yeah,
So like, I don't think that it's fair, and I think that superhero movies is the thing right now in whatever way that people depict superhero movies, whether that's something more realistic like
sure,
The Boys, maybe a little bit
sure.
more graphic like The Boys, or if it's
A
something
little bit more
like
raw.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, where it takes
Yeah,
a little bit more to dive in depth, or if it's something more lighthearted like old MCU. New MCU is a little bit more heavy, a little
yeah,
bit heavier.
yeah.
But when superhero movies were first coming out, it was a little bit more lighthearted. Then they started telling more stories, in my opinion.
I think if he's saying this about the first Avengers, I think his comments are fair. I don't
Yeah,
agree with them, but I think they're fair.
yeah.
I think the genre has evolved over time,
Hmm.
from even the Brandon Routh Superman movie.
Yes,
Like, was that Superman Returns?
Superman. Yep, it
Yeah,
was.
so
It
when
was.
Superman Returns, I think even that one you have to look at that and go like, okay, I mean, it's good, but okay, I get it. Okay, fine, it's fair. But I think that if you look at these movies as they are now, I feel like it's hard to say that, because I do think that there is a point that you're making, Marcus, of like, at some point in time, no one knew Star Wars was going to be Star Wars. I mean,
Yeah,
shit, George Lucas thought that it was going to be a flop.
yeah.
Like, George Lucas never expected that to go beyond one, and then people loved it. So I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a conversation here somewhere around one, gatekeeping a little bit. Like, Ridley Scott is a phenomenal director. He can tell these stories and develop these characters really, really well. But I don't necessarily think that it's fair for him to tell me what is good cinema and what isn't. I feel like we as an audience, if we connect with them, if we're connecting with the story that's unfolding on screen, isn't that all that matters? Like, at some point in time, like, I think
I would agree.
as someone who loves all movies, I know that this episode we've been very um superhero movie focused, but I think,
Mhm.
as someone who appreciates all movies, I think they all have some place. It's just kind of what I think they all have some place, because they all tell a different story, and they're all unique. And there is a part of this of saying, like, or having art inspiring future art. I mean, if we I'm sure people said this about hip hop in the 90s after
Yeah,
listening to it in the 80s, right? Like, well, who the fuck is this new kid called Dr. Dre? He's not allowed to tell us how I don't like this, because this is what I grew up with. And you
yeah.
keep going back and you keep playing that, and there's always going to be a place for the OGs on the shelf. But at some point in time, people are allowed to say, I read this comic, I grew up with it, I loved it. I want to see that play out on screen, because that's a unique story, and I think I could put a cool spin on it. I don't know. I just I there are moments where I see what he's saying. I mean, there's a lot to keep a track of, and it does seem to be the pop culture hit right now. But even pop music has a place in music.
Here's the thing. I loved all the points you made,
Yeah.
I said that I love all the points you made. Period. Here's my other thing.
Yes.
Come up with something original, then.
Yeah,
because I feel like when's the last time we've seen a good original concept movie
sure.
being done? What's happening? And I'll defend comic books because fuck, I read comic books, right?
Yeah,
And so for me, I'm like growing up, it was always like, man, I would love to see this on like if it was real
yeah,
life,
yeah,
right? And so what's happening is we're having the opportunity to recreate not only the classics and our favorites of people growing up because nostalgia is it's a hot button and it's an easy sale, right?
yeah.
So a lot of people watching, they know that they used to read these comic books, they used to read these characters, and whether or not they like them or don't, you still get to grow with them over the span of at least a trilogy, right?
Right.
So
Yeah,
you have some kind of relation to these characters. Um, we're just seeing these comic books just come to life and jump off the page and then get recreated
yeah.
to fit into a modern time. Um, so I feel like you just cannot judge movies like that.
No,
And I don't understand. And granted, Ridley Scott and also the director for Dune also kind of said the same thing.
Dennis Villeneuve.
Yeah, like until you come into this arena, don't tell us how to do our job. Like that's fine. And Doug is right. That was a great analogy. There's always space for the OGs on the shelf, but I don't want to always watch the OG shit. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
and it's not enough people creating non superhero movies or not. You know what I mean? Like
right,
original content that was just as good as what y'all used to make.
right,
And what's hot right now is hot right now.
right.
The superhero fandom will probably die down maybe another 10 years from now.
I think
Marvel
of it.
is
Yeah, we are
it
getting
has
kind of.
to.
We are. It does feel like we're getting to our saturation point. We are getting to a point where, but I think fuck, like, and I know I accuse fans of demanding too much of studios, but to be fair, like they liked the Avengers story and then they kept saying like, great, we don't want that anymore, do
Right,
better. And what
right,
did they do? They said, you want better, we can do better, here's
right,
the Eternals.
right.
It's shot better, it's a character
It looks
piece.
better. Yeah.
Like that's exactly what this is, and we keep saying that of like, we like this but now we want you to do it better.
Mm-hmm.
This is innovation that you're not seeing anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And if his argument is this isn't an original story, come up with a different argument, because these days, what the fuck is?
That and you're right. It's hard to see progress in progress.
Yeah,
And I think that's with anything. We look at life. This feels like the hardest moment in all of my years of living. The
yes,
past 3 to 5 years, well, the past yeah, three to
for
5 years have felt
sure.
like the hardest. It felt like the hardest. But when I look back on life, eventually at some point on the
Mhm.
other side, I'll say, damn, I really appreciated the moments I had in those. And I feel like for these directors, if they haven't already, actually sit and watch the movies that the people are watching and see why they're so popular. I don't understand how
Yeah,
you don't watch the first part that leads up to Endgame, or like how do you not watch Infinity War and Endgame and everything that leads up to those two moments and say that there's nothing there?
right.
Infinity War was the most beautiful movie
Yeah,
that still to this day was one of the first movies that leave me like, what the fuck just happened?
yeah,
Armageddon was one of the first ones when they died on the astro when Bruce Willis died. I was like, wait a minute,
oh
y'all killing main characters? I was like, what the
yeah,
fuck? When we start
yeah,
doing that in movies?
yeah.
And then Infinity War, when the snap happened, and that was the end of the movie.
Yeah. That scene where Spider-Man disappears into
Yeah,
dust, where
yeah.
Tom has that conversation of like, I don't feel right.
I don't feel
That was
good.
heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's good acting. Like that's, and they can only write that, they can only act that way if it's written that way and directed
Yes.
that way. And I
Somebody's got
think
to
the
bring that shit to life. Which also, oh, sorry, this was
what?
the other point. I feel like you're discrediting the people in the movie, producing the movie, writing these movies,
Right,
and all of their talents because the genre says superhero movie. You're
right,
discrediting the actors that bring that shit to life, the writers, and everything else that trickles down. You discredit. You're not even giving them full credit for the work that they do already. How is that
right.
fucking that's ungrateful? I don't think that that's fair.
That feels very unfair. And I think there's 2 points that I want to make to kind of follow up on that. To your point, and which I think is a good one. Remember back when Leonardo DiCaprio first arrived on the scene? They're like, look at this heartthrob.
Yeah.
He is going to be cast as the dreamy main character in every single movie that he is in. And then at one point in time, he said, I don't want to fucking do that anymore.
Hmm.
And he did The Aviator. And then he was on this upward trajectory of now being associated with Martin Scorsese and quality cinema. Same fucking thing with Matthew McConaughey. He was
That's
in,
true.
I mean, if you listen to
That's
him
true.
talk about it. He was like, I was in a streak where I did 10 rom-coms like
Mhm.
back to back.
Well,
And
did
I
you listen
woke
to that
up.
Ear Biscuits episode?
Yes, I did, and it's
Yeah, that's what
amazing.
it is. Yeah, it was good. That was
He
good.
did like 10 of those, and then one day he goes, I don't want to do that anymore. And
Mhm.
he waited like what, 2 years before he
Mhm.
got another job, simply because he was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. He goes, I don't look back on that and say I don't appreciate that, and it got me where I'm at. It made me my bread. It got me my bread. I'm good with
Mhm.
it, but I want to do something different. I think the same thing applies here. We have to. I don't want actors who make the decision to be in these.
Mhm.
I don't want them to be ridiculed for making a decision to earn their money doing something that they love,
Easy.
acting.
Easy. Because how do you discredit Angelina Jolie?
Oh, you
Do you
can't.
do you then discredit everything she's done before that?
I
And,
can't see
like,
how you could.
I just don't feel like it's just not fair to me. When Matt Reeves is putting out a trailer that looks like it's already going to get awards for its fucking movie,
Right.
and what directors are saying is, I want to make something more realistic. From Zack Snyder to Matt Reeves, they want to make superheroes that are more realistic.
Yeah.
And I think that we're getting that. We're getting heroes with more heart, making realistic decisions.
Right. Well, and I think the other thing to consider is like Matt Reeves, for example. Matt Reeves probably looks up to Ridley Scott. Because at some
Probably,
point, Matt
yes.
Matt
That's
Reeves
a
is
great point.
55 years old. Matt Reeves was 55 years old. He was born in 66. It means he grew up. What made him to get into filmmaking in and of itself was probably he sat down, he watched Alien, he watched Aliens, he watched Gladiator, and he said, "You know what? I want to fucking do that." And so I think the other thing that bothers me about this
Hmm.
is when Ridley Scott says something or Martin Scorsese says something like that, you're essentially that is somebody's idol looking at you and saying, we're not in the same field.
That's a great point, Doug.
And
That's a
that's
great
bullshit.
point. That
That's
is
bullshit.
bullshit.
Like, don't
Yeah.
undercut their effort just because you look down on that genre.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were given a script, they put together a coherent story from start to finish, and they made audiences connect with it. That's the motherfucking assignment.
Yeah.
Like, that's the job. If you're gonna say you're not in the same field because one has a dude that wears a cape and can shoot laser out his eyes,
Mhm.
and the other guy's a gladiator, come on, man. Like at some point in time, I feel like you're splitting hairs just to be
Yeah.
controversial.
Yeah. And you know what? I got nothing else to say. I think that was a perfect way. I think that was a perfect way to, you
Well,
know what?
thank you.
Shut the fuck up, Ridley Scott. No, no, don't. Sorry, don't shut the fuck up, Ridley Scott. Because your opinion, I think your opinion from your perspective, I absolutely understand.
Right.
There's a lot of people that say they want to get back to the art of things and they want to get back
Sure.
to this real, whatever quote unquote real is. But always remember Ridley Scott and Dennis Villeneuve. Always remember, y'all, art is it's a matter of perspective,
It
and there's
absolutely
several
is.
forms of it, and there's moments where superhero genres are up, and then murder mysteries are up, and,
Yeah.
and superhero genre is down. Like,
Yeah.
things happen in these phases, but you cannot. I absolutely agree with Doug. You just cannot discredit a whole genre because you can create magic in those genres, and people find their entry
Yeah.
into other movies through these genres.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think
Yeah.
there are so many people who are gonna you never know who's gonna be sitting in that theater or sitting in that like watching it at home, who's
Yeah.
gonna connect with it and say, you know what? I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, and they're inspired, and they may be the next Ridley Scott because they really enjoyed connecting with it. And most of the time, when you listen to directors talk about it, they said, I grew up with film and I wanted to tell stories that way. And that's why I did it. And I think in this case, Ridley and I disagree. His movies are awesome. Blade Runner's
Yeah.
really good. Alien's one of my favorites. Gladiator is absolutely on one of my favorites. They're good movies, but I just think it's that comment is so, and it's his opinion, and he's entitled to his opinion.
Mhm.
It's just that feels like that comment's really divisive.
And also, superhero movies are more in abundance now. So I can understand why it would be
Oh,
easy
for
for you to be
sure.
more annoyed with them when it's
Sure.
all you're really seeing. When the MCU has literally developed a universe and every other announcement is there's a series about Batwoman coming out on HBO
Yep.
Max. And so I get seeing it so much you feel like that it's watering down the field,
Sure.
but you just gotta go, like,
People
you
said
gotta
the
go through
same
that.
shit about Autotune.
Yeah,
and we're
yeah,
fine.
that's true. They did say the same thing about Auto Tune.
We're all fine.
They did. They said Jay-Z tried to kill Auto Tune. That motherfucker said, "Hey, no."
Yeah,
T-Pain. T-Pain
T-Pain
said,
was
"Hey,
on everybody's single like I fucking hate this guy
yeah,
list because of
yeah,
auto-tune. And it was
yeah."
like it wasn't me, man. I just capitalized on
He
it.
said, "Hey, fuck that guy." He was like,
Right,
"Man, I ain't do nothing to you."
right. Anything else, Marcus, before we
Uh,
sort of wrap things up and close things out?
I'm just gonna say this one little piece right here, and this was for Brian. There is a delay. There's supposedly a delay in the Squadron,
Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron, because there was a disagreement between Lucasfilms and Patty Jenkins.
Yeah, creative
Um,
differences.
It was yeah, that's what they labeled it as, but we all know what the fuck that means.
Yep.
Um, I don't know what the fuck that means. So yeah, but anyway, they just delayed. They said that it's going to be delayed because of creative differences. And I'm pulling it up right now. This is from comicbook.com.
Yeah.
So they said the latest report comes from THR editor. Jenkins was frustrated by the micromanagement of select Lucasfilm executives, eventually opting to pursue other opportunities while Lucasfilm worked on fixing its internal problems.
Interesting.
So that is, yeah, that's very,
That's
that's very
very
interesting.
interesting.
That's very interesting. Which means you're about to lose a big director to some bullshit.
Yeah, well, or it means that like she might get preoccupied because that's the problem with that, right? Like she might get preoccupied
With
with
another
another
project.
project
Yeah.
and you're ready to start shooting because you're on a timeline and she's like, "Sorry, dude, like
Sorry, I missed it.
I told you that I was going to take on other stuff. If you want
Yeah.
to have a different director, that's fine." I could very see if that this isn't resolved quickly and Patty continues to work on Wonder Woman 3 because I know she made an announcement recently that she's working on that. I could see them being like, "Well, we found a new director."
Yeah.
And I hope they don't because I like Patty
I
Jenkins,
like
but
Patty.
I think female voices are important in film, but I think that's very possible that if they don't fix their shit, you could see that happening.
I get the micromanaging is like
That's the part that's interesting to me because Patty worked with WB, and I'm like,
twice.
this is micromanaging?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah. Like
you remember there was a guy named Joss, right? Like y'all remember him? She worked with him and she said, "I can't stand this micromanagement." Like, holy shit.
y'all better get y'all shit together. That's all I'm saying. Don't
You
lose
better
Patty Jenkins.
you better resolve that.
You better resolve it. Lucas, tell them motherfuckers back the hell up and let her. Y'all hired her for a reason. Let
Yeah.
her do her goddamn job.
Yeah, and she's a good director. Of all the people, I could get it if they were like, "Hey, Doug, you're directing Rogue Squadron." I'm like, I'm gonna need some of that micromanagement.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
y'all gonna have to walk me
If
through this
I'm new
shit.
here, I'm gonna be like, hey y'all, can y'all send some executives down to just kind of
I want them
tell me I'm
just
going in
right
the right
here,
direction?
so that way, if I'm curious, I can be like, "You want me to do this, right?
Yeah.
All right, action."
They
Like
said it
that's
was okay.
they said it was fine, but with Patty, you don't need to do
You don't
that.
need to do
She
it.
knows
Yeah.
what she's doing.
Back the hell up.
Yeah.
Except Wonder Woman 2. That was a shit show.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, that was WB.
That was WB.
But Marcus, that kind of brings us to the end of things. So it was a great it was a good episode. Talked about a lot of great stuff. My question for you is what do you all have to plug today, sir?
Yeah. Noah. Noah, we had conversations about the store opening up, so the store will be opening up soon.
Just in
Um,
time for the
just in
holidays.
time for the holidays, just in time for Black Friday, all that good stuff like that. You already know what it is.
Ooh,
Noah store will
brings
be
a
opening,
whole
and this one will be actually staying open. We'll have some options that
Oh,
will actually stay up the whole
okay.
time, and then we'll have some stuff that will switch out from time to time. That's why
Okay.
this one has taken a little bit longer. But other than that, Pin Drop is out. If you were here at the 5 minute mark, we played a little bit of that Pin Drop Soul Tie. And so the Pin Drop is out. Go stream that. My music is out right now. New music is coming soon. And yeah, that's where we at with it.
I would like to use this joke because I said it and I
Oh
didn't want to
God.
interrupt. But if it's coming out in time for Black Friday, that brings a whole new meaning to Black Friday because you are
Black
a
Friday, Black business.
That's right. You on Black Friday we support Black businesses. That's how this works around here.
Black Friday, Black business, Black asses.
Black business. So the other thing that we want to plug and we want to make sure that we get it out there is we want to remind everybody you can head over to the Love Nerds. You can check out some cool recipes. This is the season of Friendsgiving where you gather with your friends and maybe you don't want to bring a whole turkey, so you want to do your own twist and bring some wings. Go over there, check out those different recipes and different craft projects that they have over there. And shout out to Maggie and Brian.
Shout out to Maggie and Brian, bringing
Also
life
want
into
to
this world.
remind everybody that Brian is on TikTok at Rogue Roush. He's out there doing your weekly Star Wars beat from TikTok, so be sure to check out his TikToks there. They're really great. If you're ever curious about how starfighters or star cruisers or battleships work in Star Wars, Brian will walk you through that step by step. So
Brian
be
will
sure
walk
to
you.
check that out.
He'll walk you through that shit like he walk you through your goddamn master's program. You gonna feel like you actually
Yeah,
know
you're
some
gonna feel
shit.
like an expert. That is the
Yeah.
master class on Star Wars ships.
That is the master class on Star Wars ships.
I want to remind everybody that you can check out this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode and want to watch us record it live, check us out at patreon.com/films in black and white. We do a lot of great stuff there. Also want to remind everybody that we are on TikTok at Films in
Doug
Black
is on
and
TikTok. Well, I'm not a good TikToker. And
I'm on TikTok at Films in Black and White.
There you go.
We do some fun. I do some fun shit over there.
He
I have
does.
fun with it.
Great content over there. Go get your asses over there.
It's a lot of fun. But Marcus, we have a 3-step process to success, and I would like you to give us the first step, sir.
The first step, you got to, as my friend Brian Roush would say, man, you got to read a book.
Please read a book.
You got to read a book. Before Brian went and had that baby, you know what he did? Read a book. I guarantee you. Guarantee you. At some point in that day, he read a book. And you know what? That baby's going to be better because of it, okay? You got to read a book. Pick up something. I don't care if it's an audio book, as Brian would say, those count. And because he said they count, obviously they count, motherfucker. And
if anybody can decide whether or not they count, it's Brian.
It's Brian. Brian reads like we used to read for AR points. And I think we just need to get back to that, okay? So, like, yes, read a goddamn book.
Please read a book. The second step is drink some water. Look, y'all, it's gonna get a little bit dry around here when we get into the winter months. It sucks all the moisture out of the air, out of your body. That's how your skin gets really dry. So just make sure you get that water going so that way you don't have dry skin and stuff just doesn't look gross in general. And the third step we'll share is wash your ass. It's important to get up there and scrub it. Look, the holiday season is upon us. You don't want to show up to Thanksgiving with a stanky ass.
Well, maybe
you don't want to show up to a holiday party. If you're a single person and you go to holiday parties, that's like how every romantic comedy starts. You don't want to have your meet cute with a stanky ass hanging behind you. So just make sure that you wash your ass.
What the fuck is a meet cute?
That's like the cute where the couple comes together in the film. It's called a meet cute, like MEET, not MEAT.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a completely different visualization when you said you don't want the meat cute and the dirty ass.
Oh, I mean, that's a whole different type of meat and a whole different type of cute. So that's a very good point. We will be back next week to talk. We'll be back next week to talk about Ghostbusters Afterlife. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we'll catch y'all next week.